Hey, what is up you guys, it's Becca, welcome back to my channel. I hope you guys have had a fantastic week. I know I have. Sorry about the noise in the background, I have my cooler fan thingy on. Today I am going to be talking about how to make an AGTube series. I'm not necessarily the best qualified for this, but I feel like with the successes that I have had personally with my series and the interest I've gotten and the support I've received, I think I have enough knowledge to help you in certain ways. So I have 8 things that I'm going to be telling you about. These are not in really any specific order except for the first 2. So the first one you're going to want to consider is the plot. Now everyone says the title is like the first thing you should think of. Well, I'm kind of backwards. Personally, I like to write out the plot first and then come up with a title based on that plot rather than coming up with a title and then trying to make a plot based around the title. It's really hard, and as a writer who's like written almost books before, it's really important to understand your writing style and how your brain works. So for me, I always start with the plot and then do the title. There are some people who have successfully done the title and then came up with the plot. I am not one of those people, so I tend to lean towards writing the plot first and then coming up with a title that is relevant to the plot, which is my next point. The title is very, very key. First of all, it's going to draw your viewers in, so if it's something really boring like fairies, past me, it's not really going to attract like your audience, and it's just going to be like, oh, another AGTube series, I don't really want to watch this, let's just move on. You want something that's going to grab their attention first. So the fairy's keep is like, oh, what's a keep? Like, why? What is this fairy keeping? And I also spell fairy differently, so that's really, I've heard that that's really different and interesting to them. So your title really does have to grab your viewers' attention, but it also has to be relevant to the story. It's kind of like clickbait, where you want it to mean, like, it has to have something to do with the video. So you want it to be relevant, and yes, relevant in a literal way and in a deeper way. So literal way, I mean like Aspen Heights, for example. The school is named Aspen Heights. It makes sense. But when you delve deeper into the story and you watch more episodes, it's a deeper meaning of the Aspens and the Hyatts fighting. It's not just, oh, there's a school built on an old civilization. It's, no, they're still living and they're fighting still, and it's just a really interesting concept. So you want to make your title intriguing, but also relevant and in a literal and deeper meaning. So my advice when it comes to characters, for anyone I have ever helped write something, because that's something I do, is don't overthink your characters. I always start with the main character and think out their deeper meaning, and then the rest of the characters will kind of come as you write. So it's more of a, like, let it come naturally, let it flow, rather than overthinking your characters and then trying to fit it into this plot that you have. And it doesn't always work. I have done this myself in the past, where I overthink the characters and I think out their entire backstory, and then it just doesn't end up fitting with what I want to do. So always focus on the main character or the main 2 characters, depending on like what your series is about, and then work around that, and it'll flow. Like, once you get the ideas going, it'll flow and flow and flow, and you won't be able to stop, and you'll be up at 2 in the morning writing these things down, because it doesn't stop. I've been saying writing a lot, and that is because I actually have scripts for my series. I know a lot of people on AGTube don't have scripts, but I find them super helpful. I don't know how I would make a series without one. This is me rambling, and it's a lot of blah, 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 rather than coherent sentences and like ideas thought out. So I keep my script here on a Google Doc, and I can access it anywhere. So even if I'm not on my phone, I'm not showing any spoilers because but I keep my script on every device I have, so it's not just like on my phone, oh I forgot my phone at home, or it's on my computer so I can't take my computer to places to film. So keep it in a really secure spot. I think that's really helpful, and having a script in general is just like the best idea ever. Yes, having a schedule is great, but don't beat yourself up if you don't attain it. That is something that I have been dealing with because my life has been really interesting lately. So it's really difficult to keep a schedule when life keeps throwing things at you and they hit you in the face and you're like, well, I can't do this thing now because of this other thing. So yes, have a schedule and plan out when you're going to film, when you're going to edit, all that fun stuff. But also don't beat yourself up if you don't get there. Because most likely your subscribers are going to be forgiving and going to be understanding and not pressure you to make a video that's not your best because you rushed it. Yes, having multiple videos go up is a great feeling. Like when you're on schedule, bam, 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 week after week, you're like, yes, this is amazing, I feel great. But honestly, it is so much better to have a good quality video that you are actually happy with than a half thrown together video every week. Quantity is not as important as the quality of your video, and I don't mean that in the sense of like the quality of your camera, your lighting, or your audio. I mean just like the timing of the voices and the zooming in and out and the panning and all that like technical stuff that really makes a difference instead of just cutting to the next scene. So I guess I'm trying to say is don't feel obligated to post every single week if you're not going to make a quality video that you're proud of. So I see a lot of AGTube series where the voices are all the same, and it drives me absolutely bonkers. Like, I did this myself for a long time, and now I'm learning that when you distinguish your characters not just by the character, the person or the doll playing the character, but by the voice, it makes a world of a difference. Honestly, it's hard to explain. Obviously, boys are going to have a deeper, raspier voice that is kind of low in the throat, and you want to be able to make it seem like you are actually a guy, even though, you know, it's really hard to, and you will still have that twinge of a girl voice in the back of your throat. But you sound deeper and you sound different, and that's what matters. And then when you're playing a girl character, there's several girl characters that you go by their personality. So Hazel is very not monotone, but she talks like myself. She's upfront, she's normally, like, she has emotion to her voice, but not too much emotion to her voice. She's not fake, and I don't mean any of my other characters are fake, but I mean Hazel's like that, so therefore Venus therefore takes on that voice. Whereas Ashley is very upbeat and happy, and like she's excited about everything, and that's okay, and it's not a bad thing, and she doesn't sound fake unless she's trying to be fake, and you know what, that's okay. But there's like the subtle differences that make, honestly, the series so much better. So you gotta think about that when you are making your series. Filming is the hardest part about making a series. Oh my goodness. I hate it sometimes because it never works out the way you want it to. So my rule of thumb for filming is film each character, every single line they have in that scene, and then switch to another character instead of going back and forth between characters, so that you're like, the placement is still the same, and you don't switch tones, because sometimes if you switch it around and you go back to a character because you missed a line, you've changed your voice for a different character, so you're gonna have a hard time getting back into the voice for the character you did before that. I know I'm making no sense at all. So film all of the lines for one character in that scene and then move on to the next character. And do the same thing for every single scene. You also want to time your lines. You don't want it to be super slow and take a really long time to respond. But you also don't want it super fast so you can't understand anything, and like you jump to another character and it's already like halfway done the sentence and you have no idea what's going on and it just makes no sense and you stumble over your words, and So you really have to, time it, and you have to time the pauses in between your lines so that you have enough of a pause to have someone respond. So if you want someone to cut someone off, you want to have it cut, like you want to stop you want to say the whole word, but act as if you're stopping like almost halfway through. So if I'm gonna say but, you say the full word, but you're gonna like kind of cut it off and like almost whisper the part that you're cutting off. That way you have a guide as to where to cut the video when you're editing. And if you want someone to have a delayed response, you're gonna go, well, say I'm saying something and you disagree with me, so it's gonna switch to you, but I don't really agree with what you're saying. So you want this, it's really hard to explain, but the timing of the lines is so important. You don't want it to go bam, 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 but you don't want it to go, like you don't want it to be not making any sense and slow, and so it's really tough making an AGTube series, especially when you don't have other actors and people directing with you. It's all on you. It truly is, and it's a challenge, and that's why I love it so much, because you can get yourself out there and show off your skills, because you are, like, I have seen so many series where they're like, I'm not really sure if this is good or not. Be confident that you are a good director, you are a good editor, and you are a good actor, and even if you have to fake it through the whole thing, honestly, fake it until you make it. If you believe, if you believe, even with the slightest amount, that you are good enough and you can make this series, you will really make the series. I was so uncomfortable with my series Fairies and If I Could Fly, so I just cut them. Don't be afraid to cut your series. If it's not making you happy, don't be afraid. Leave people on a cliffhanger. It's honestly okay. Like, if you're not happy with it, don't continue it. So that was my rambling for this video. I really hope you liked it, and if any of these tips help, please give it a big thumbs up. Don't forget to click subscribe, which is the red button down below, and then ding the bell to be notified when I make a new video. I will see you guys very soon. I hope you guys are doing great. I don't know why I said that. Bye, guys!